why is gas $5 a gallon? And like, why do I have to pay rent? And why is rent so high? And why do I have to drive my car and get the gas that I have to get to go to the job that I have to pay for rent? Why do I have to do all of that stuff? And why are you making it so fucking expensive to do it? I don't even want to get out and pump my gas. It feels like getting out and just knowing someone's gonna fucking stab you. Why would you get out? This is beginning. It's the beginning of life. What am I supposed to do forever? I have to get a fucking horse.
I struggle every day, and now I'm taking care of my mom who's older, being denied simple things like breathing meds. So gas, what are you going to do? So I don't eat this week because I have to take mom to the doctor's tomorrow.
If you could pick one word to describe the economy, your economic situation right now under these conditions, one word to describe that.
Desolate.
$7 for 10 slices of cheese? I need to get the fuck out of the US.
$75 for 3 steaks. Do you think that's ridiculous? Last week I was here, it was $70 for 3 steaks. Now it's $75.
Because I'm looking for some ground beef for my lasagna and also for my spaghetti. I found the ground beef. Why is it $30?
$5.99 for a regular sized bag of Doritos. Are you freaking kidding me?
I told my nephew go pick out your favorite juice, but
99.10.
nah, nigga, we got water at the crib. Let's go.
This used to be $3 to $4. This is $9.29 for a case of sodas.
Look at this, $3.29 for a regular damn Hershey's bar. You guys are smoking crack.
10 pretzels in there, right? 25 fucking dollars, dude. Go fuck yourself.
MAGA was 100% correct. If I voted for Kamala Harris, our economy would tank, the national debt would triple, gas prices would skyrocket, and we would be at war with Iran. I voted for her and all of that happened.
Trump voters are in full meltdown right now because things have just gotten worse. They were promised a stronger economy, lower prices, and relief for everyday Americans. Instead, groceries are still high, rent is crushing families, gas is rising, and now there are cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and even childcare. And the question is, how did the people who thought they were fixing the system end up getting hit the hardest? Let's have a look.
He bankrupted the country in 14 months. The U.S. Treasury has now confirmed that the United States is insolvent. So in 14 months, he took a profitable country that was standing on its own 2 feet and made it so dependent on everybody else, but yet nobody's coming to his aid. So the $1 billion a day to fight a war that he wedged his fat ass in the middle of because of his buddies over in the blue country is costing the taxpayers $1 billion a day that we don't have. We couldn't afford health care for the people of this country, but yet we have $1 billion a day to go to a war that nobody wanted. We couldn't afford to give kids free lunch in schools, but yet we have $1 billion a day to fight a war that's not actually going to profit or benefit the United States in any way. And that's exactly what he's done. He has bankrupted 6 companies. He has bankrupted 3 casinos, and he has caused harm and chaos in every single venture that he's ever taken, and he always goes bankrupt and then leaves everybody else to pay his tab. And that's exactly what he's doing right now, because while we're all sitting here wondering how we're going to pay our rent, our electric, and our food all in the same month because we can't live off of our paychecks anymore because we don't make enough anymore, he's sitting there cashing checks that our asses have to cash. And I know that I could be bottom, but it doesn't mean that I want the whole world to be taking a piece of it.
I need to have a vent session for a second about the state of affairs in this country. So I have 2 adult children. One is 18 going on 19 and the other one is 21. My 18-year-old is working currently as an HVAC apprentice and working on getting certified, but he's making $16 an hour, which I live in a small to mid-sized Missouri town, so that's pretty typical around here. Wages are, low compared to a lot of places, but so is the cost of living. but he would also not like to be living at home with mom forever. He's more of like an independent, autonomous person, so apartment living is not for him at all. He wants a place where he can have his truck and his dirt bikes and be able to work on motors and have the freedom to do what he wants with the place and also be able to have all of his stuff. And at this point, honestly, renting a house would cost more than a mortgage payment anyway, but he's been looking for houses and just trying to figure out what he can afford and what he can do. And like, he found this place that was only $125,000, which is like dirt cheap around here. Like, that just doesn't exist anymore. But it had no basement. It was on like a slab foundation, I think, and probably needed some work, which he is naturally talented at that stuff. Like, he works in HVAC. He's very mechanically inclined. Like, he can do this stuff. So he's not afraid of a fixer-upper. Found out that the main reason it was priced so cheap is because it was in a flood zone. So it was a no anyway. But keep in mind, $125,000 house in this economy. And when we looked up to see like if he did like a 5% down payment on this thing with, you know, your insurance and PMI and taxes and everything, his payment would still be $1,100 a month for a like cheap piece of crap house. And just the look of absolute dread on his face when he realized how completely unaffordable and unattainable it is for him to be able to buy a house and live on his own. Now, my oldest son just turned 21. He's been waiting to turn 21 because he wants to get into the cannabis industry. And it's just like the alcohol industry, where if you want to be like a brewer or a bartender, you have to be 21 in order to do it. So this past week, Thursday, he interviewed for a job with a grower. And just a couple of days ago, he was offered the position and officially accepted it. And in that time, less than a week, we decided to start a war with Iran. And so when he interviewed for the job, gas prices were around $2.50 a gallon where I'm at, and now they are already at $3 a gallon and climbing. So just in the time between when he interviewed for this job and when he accepted this job, gas prices have gone up 50 cents a gallon, and they're not done climbing yet. And this is an issue because this job, there's a lot of dispensaries here in town where if he had, ended up there, he'd probably be a little bit better off. But this was the job opening that was available at the time for him to get into the industry. And it is a farm, which is 30 miles up the interstate from where we live. So now he is going to be driving one way to work 30 miles at a time when gas prices are going through the roof, because we decided it was a good idea to start a completely unwarranted, unjustified, and unnecessary war with Iran. And I'm now sitting here thinking about my own situation, where my own currently hourly wage is, and considering if I was their age, if I was just starting out. So thinking about buying the same house that I live in right now at its current value, at current interest rates, with the same % down payment that I paid for this house back in 2017. And I realized that my payment would be double what it currently is. And I, as a 40-year-old woman who has been working for 24 years of my life, could not afford this place on my own. Like, at 40 years old, I would need a roommate in order to live in this very modest, like 1,300 square foot, 1968 ranch style home. Like, it's not a fancy house by any stretch. It's what most people would consider to be essentially a starter home by today's standards. And I could not afford it on my own on my current wages. So my question is, how the hell are we expecting these young kids to do it? Like, for someone to start out, even in my area, in like rural Missouri, they would have to make $30 an hour in order to be earning a living wage, in order to live on their own and support themselves without the help of a spouse or a roommate, just for a single person to live and make it on their own, to be able to afford a vehicle payment, vehicle insurance, a mortgage or rent payment, and all of the utilities and groceries and cell phone bills and stuff that go along with just living your life. That's no fun stuff. It's just to live. They would need to make $30 an hour. Meanwhile, we have a government that is more interested in starting wars and harassing other countries and harassing immigrants that are living in this country than they are with their own people, than they are with helping the working class in any way, shape, or form with any kind of meaningful legislation or reform. We have a do-nothing Congress that is sitting on their hands and doing absolutely nothing to help any of the working class people. I'm mad about it for myself, but I'm even more mad about it for my children. Something needs to change. Something's got to give. And frankly, at the midterms, like, it would be great if the Democrats are able to take over, because at least they'll do something to stop the nonsense that is happening in the executive branch that is going on unchecked. But are they going to do anything to actually help the working class people? At the end of the day, Even the Democrats are doing the absolute bare minimum to be able to claim that they are for the working class, because they, right along with the Republicans, are taking money from wealthy campaign donors, and any policy, any legislation that they pass ultimately is going to help them and not us. So where does this end? How far does this go before we, the people, cannot afford to live no matter what age we are?
I'm just wondering today how every Trump supporter doesn't feel really, really stupid today. I mean, you gotta feel like a complete clown, because this guy told you all these things that he was gonna do and how he was gonna make America great and put America first and all this stuff. And he's done the complete opposite. He hasn't put America first at all. He's busy with a war thousands of miles away that we don't belong in at all. Meanwhile, he's telling you, yeah, those social programs that we have, like Medicare and Social Security, yeah, that's not his problem. It's the biggest con ever. I mean, it's just the guy completely scammed you. And some of you are still trying to support him, even though every single thing he said he was going to do, and you said, oh yeah, look, look what he's going to do. He did the complete opposite. And some of you are still supporting a man that lied to you in every way, shape, fashion, and form. Wow. You got scammed. All of you. All of you.
So Donald Trump got on stage last night and said, we can't afford daycare or Medicaid. We're funding wars. Sir, didn't you run on lowering costs for Americans, no new wars, and finding a better healthcare plan to replace the Affordable Care Act? Oh, and while you mentioned Israel 6 times last night, you left out the part where we pay them billions of dollars in aid every year, and they give their citizens free health care and childcare. Meanwhile, you're telling the American people that even though it comes out of our paycheck every month, we can't afford Medicaid for Americans. Oh, and another thing. If we stop federal funding for Medicaid and transfer it to the states, like you were suggesting, the average American taxpayer, you and I, would be paying $3,000 to $5,000 more per year. So just to recap, we can fund wars, we can send billions overseas, yet we can't afford basic needs for Americans at home. Makes sense.
I just bought 4 condiments from the grocery store. 4, okay? We have ketchup, I did mayo, ranch, and barbecue sauce. Literally only 4 of these, okay? And as you can see, they're like their regular sizes, all right? Guess how much money it was? It was $20 for 4 regular sized condiments. And the smaller, tinier versions that were literally like this much was only $1 cheaper. So I was like, well, what's the point of me only getting like this tiny itty bitty half petite Bella Hadid size when I could just get the regular size for $1 more? $20 for 4 condiments. That's all.
You want to know what ruffles my feathers is groceries are so dang expensive. I have a family of 4 and I probably spend at least $200 a week on groceries alone. What is happening? And by the end of the week, we're ready to go back to the store because our fridge is about empty and my kids are fruit fiends. So yeah, I just bought bulk of strawberries at Aldi because they're 99 cents today. I practically have to take out a dang loan every month just to go grocery shopping. It's absolutely insane.
I think the Americans should never have put Trump in charge of anything financial, especially that his businesses have always been bankrupted by him. And he's gone and done what he does best, and that is to bankrupt the United States. The U.S. Treasury has just been declared insolvent. they can obviously print more money, but that will just increase inflation and interest rates, which is even worse because they already have fuel and energy problems right now. And, you know, the US is on the verge of collapse with this war in Iran, and they're spending billions of dollars a day that they cannot afford. I mean, at this stage, they should just pack up and go home because the U.S. is on the verge of collapse. I feel for the Americans, but at the same time, you know, you guys have to stand up and say no to this man. I mean, he is just destroying the United States while he manipulates markets, and his family and friends keep making billions of dollars investing in the market on insider information. And it's just getting out of hand now. I mean, this guy needs to stop. He needs to be stopped.
When leaders start saying things like, we can't afford childcare, we can't afford Medicaid, what they are really saying is that the burden is about to fall on you, not the billionaires, not the corporation getting tax breaks, you know, but everyday people. And many of Trump voters didn't see themselves in that outcome. They thought the policies that they supported would affect other people. They thought the cuts, the pressure, the consequences would land on other people. But policies don't work like that. They don't ask who you voted for. They don't care what side you are in, you know. They hit everybody, especially the working class. Now, this is a moment of realization for many of these voters, because voting isn't just about identity. It is not about slogans. It is not about loyalty to one person. It is about outcomes. It is about who actually benefits and who ends up paying the price. Because when healthcare becomes harder to access, when childcare becomes unaffordable, when the cost of living keeps on rising with no relief, that is real life. That's families making impossible choices between paying for groceries and even paying rent. That's people working harder and still falling behind. And this is why accountability matters a lot, because at the end of the day, leadership should be about improving people's lives, making things more affordable, creating stability, and supporting families, you know. The leaders that we choose should make our life easier and not shifting the weight onto those who are already struggling. But unfortunately, many people don't take voting seriously. They support a candidate based on race, emotions, or even prejudice. So the choices people make, they have real-life consequences. Voting has real-life consequences. So people should educate themselves on policies and make informed choices before they cast the vote. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.